Most entrepreneurs play checkers, building products, chasing customers, competing on price. Meanwhile, the winners are playing chess. They understand the power laws, the invisible rules that determine who dominates and who disappears. These aren't taught in business school. They're discovered through warfare. Today, I'm giving you 7 power laws that separate billion-dollar companies from failed startups. No theory, no case studies, pure tactical application. If you understand these laws, you don't just compete, you dominate. Let's begin. This is video 5 of the Neo-Machiavellian series. We've covered awakening, the harvest, building principles, and identity architecture. Now we're talking about the actual rules of business warfare, the laws that govern modern markets. Most people don't know these laws exist. They're building businesses blindly, hoping effort equals results. It doesn't. Power laws determine outcomes. Understand them, exploit them, win. Ignore them, work harder, lose. Subscribe now because what I'm about to share will change how you see every business decision forever. Let's go. Power law number 1, the law of irreplaceability. You don't win by being the best, you win by being the only. Most entrepreneurs try to build better products than their competitors, better features, better price, better service. This is a losing strategy because better is subjective and temporary. Someone can always out-feature you, undercut your price, or copy your service. The real power comes from being irreplaceable. When customers can't replace you without significant loss, you own the market. Here's how you apply this law. Don't compete in existing categories. Create your own category where you're the only option. Tesla didn't try to build a better car. They built the only premium electric car with a supercharger network. You can't replace that. The car and the infrastructure are inseparable. Apple didn't try to build a better phone. They built the only ecosystem where your phone, computer, watch, and services work seamlessly together. Once you're in the Apple ecosystem, leaving means losing everything. That's irreplaceability. For your business, ask yourself this question: what can I create that becomes more valuable the longer customers use it? What can I build that they can't leave without significant pain? This is where real power lives. Not in being 10% better, in being impossible to replace. Build switching costs into your product from day one. Data that accumulates, integrations that deepen, networks that strengthen, habits that form. The longer they use you, the more painful it becomes to leave. That's how you stop competing and start dominating. Power law number 2, the law of strategic scarcity. Abundance kills value. Scarcity creates it. Most businesses try to serve everyone. They make their product available everywhere, to everyone, all the time. This destroys perceived value. The power move is strategic scarcity. Control access, control availability, control perception. When something feels scarce, it becomes more valuable, even if the scarcity is completely artificial. This is Machiavellian marketing at its finest. Here's how you weaponize scarcity. Limited availability creates urgency. Don't sell to everyone who wants to buy. Create waiting lists, invitation-only access, limited releases. This does 2 things. First, it creates demand through exclusivity. People want what they can't have. Second, it lets you control your growth rate and maintain quality. Hermes doesn't make enough Birkin bags to meet demand, intentionally. This keeps prices high and desire higher. Supreme drops limited quantities every week, intentionally. This creates lines around the block and resale markets at 3 times retail. For your business, identify what you can make scarce: your time, your product, your access, your attention. Then control that scarcity strategically. Don't be available to everyone. Don't sell to everyone who can pay. Create tiers. Create exclusivity. Create the perception that working with you or buying from you is a privilege, not a transaction. The moment you're abundant, you're a commodity. The moment you're scarce, you're premium. Remember, perceived scarcity is as powerful as real scarcity. Control the perception, control the value. Power law number 3, the law of controlled distribution. Whoever controls distribution controls the market.
You can have the best product in the world. If you don't control how it reaches customers, you're vulnerable. Distribution is power. This is why Amazon dominates retail, why Apple controls its App Store with an iron fist, why Netflix produces its own content. They understood that distribution is more valuable than the product itself. Here's how you build distribution power. Own your customer relationships. Don't rely on platforms you don't control. Facebook can change its algorithm tomorrow and destroy your reach. Google can change its ranking factors and kill your traffic. Amazon can copy your best-selling product and bury you in search results. If you don't own the distribution channel, you don't own your business. Build your email list. Build your audience. Build direct relationships that platforms can't touch. This is your moat. Second, create your own distribution channels. Don't just use existing platforms. Build platforms that others depend on. Tesla doesn't sell through dealerships. They control the entire sales process. This lets them control pricing, customer experience, and data. This is power. For your business, ask yourself this: what can I create that becomes more valuable the longer customers use it? What can I build that they can't leave without significant pain? This is where real power lives, not in being 10% better, in being impossible to replace. Build switching costs into your product from day one, data that accumulates, integrations that deepen, networks that strengthen, habits that form. The longer they use you, the more painful it becomes to leave. That's how you stop competing and start dominating. Power law number 5, the law of switching costs. Make it expensive to leave, not in money, in pain. The best businesses build invisible prisons. Customers stay not because they love the product, but because leaving would be too painful. This is darker than network effects. This is strategic lock-in, and it's how the most profitable companies operate. They make it easy to get in and expensive to get out. Here's how switching costs work. First, data lock-in. Once your customers have stored significant data in your system, leaving means losing that data or spending massive time exporting it. This is why Salesforce dominates. Companies have years of customer data in the system. Switching means migrating that data, retraining staff, and risking data loss. Most companies don't switch even when they hate Salesforce. The switching cost is too high. Second, integration lock-in. If your product integrates deeply with your customers' other systems, leaving means breaking all those integrations. This is why enterprise software is so sticky. It's not that it's great, it's that it's embedded in 20 other systems. Ripping it out would break everything. Third, skill lock-in. If your product requires specialized knowledge to use, leaving means retraining entire teams. This is expensive and risky. Adobe owns the creative industry, not just because their tools are good, but because every creative professional spent years learning them. Switching means starting over.
For your business, build switching costs from day one. Make your product accumulate value over time. Make it integrate deeply with other tools. Make it require specialized knowledge. Make the thought of leaving so painful that customers tolerate problems rather than switch. This sounds dark. It is. But this is business warfare. You're not trying to be loved. You're trying to be irreplaceable. There's a difference. Power law number 6, the law of category creation. Don't compete. Create a new category and own it. Most businesses try to win in existing categories. They try to build a better CRM, a better project management tool, a better scheduling app. This is a mistake, because existing categories already have winners. They have established players with brand recognition, customer bases, and resources. You're fighting an uphill battle. The power move is category creation. Invent a new category where you're the only player, then dominate it. Here's how category creation works. You take an existing problem and reframe it so your solution isn't compared to existing solutions. Salesforce didn't compete with on-premise CRM software. They created the cloud CRM category. Different game, different rules. HubSpot didn't compete with marketing automation tools. They created inbound marketing as a category. Different conversation. Red Bull didn't compete with Coke and Pepsi. They created the energy drink category. Different shelf in the store, different use case.
For your business, stop trying to be better than competitors. Start trying to be different from everyone. What new category can you create? What problem can you reframe? What language can you own? When you create a category, you get to define the rules, you get to set the standards, you get to own the conversation. And when customers think of that category, they think of you first, because you invented it. This is how you escape competition, not by winning the existing game, by creating a new game where you're the only player. Power law number 7, the law of strategic opacity. Don't show your full hand, ever. Most entrepreneurs are transparent about everything. They share their roadmap, they announce their plans, they telegraph their moves. This is tactical suicide. The moment you reveal your strategy, your competitors can counter it. The moment you announce what you're building, someone with more resources can build it faster. Strategic opacity is about operating in the dark while everyone else is guessing. Here's how you practice strategic opacity. Never announce what you're building until it's done. Build in silence, ship when ready. This prevents competitors from preparing countermoves. It prevents copycats from stealing your ideas. It creates surprise when you launch. Surprise is a weapon. Second, never reveal your full capability. If you have 3 new features ready, release 1, hold 2 in reserve. This way, you always have the next move ready while competitors scramble to respond. You look like you're innovating faster than you actually are. Third, create misdirection. Let competitors think you're focused on one area while you're actually building in another. Talk publicly about one initiative while quietly developing something completely different. By the time they realize what you're actually doing, you're already years ahead. This is Machiavellian business strategy. You're not trying to be honest, you're trying to win. Keep your real strategy hidden. Share decoy strategies publicly. Build your actual moat in silence. For your business, stop announcing everything. Stop sharing your roadmap publicly. Stop telling competitors exactly what you're working on. Operate with strategic opacity. Let your results speak, not your announcements. The element of surprise is a massive competitive advantage. Don't give it up for the sake of transparency. Transparency is a luxury for companies that have already won. For everyone else, it's a vulnerability. Now let's talk about how these laws work together, because the real power isn't in using one law, it's in stacking them. Look at any dominant business and you'll see multiple power laws working simultaneously. They're irreplaceable because they control distribution. They have network effects protected by switching costs. They created a new category and operate with strategic opacity. This isn't luck, this is architecture. This is designed power. Here's your implementation framework. First, audit your business against these 7 power laws. Which ones are you using? Which ones are you ignoring? Most businesses are using 0 or 1. That's why they struggle. Second, identify your weakest point. Where are you most vulnerable to competition? Which power law could protect that vulnerability? Build that protection now. Third, stack multiple laws. Don't just make yourself irreplaceable. Make yourself irreplaceable with network effects and high switching costs. Don't just create scarcity in a new category you own. The more laws you stack, the more unbeatable you become. Fourth, operate with time horizons your competitors can't match. These power laws take time to build. Network effects don't happen overnight. Switching costs accumulate over years. This is why most entrepreneurs ignore them. They want results this quarter. But the businesses that dominate think in decades. They're willing to sacrifice short-term revenue to build long-term power. That's the real competitive advantage. Time horizon. Most people optimize for next quarter. You need to optimize for next decade. Here's what you do in the next 48 hours. Not next week, not when you have time. In the next 48 hours, choose one power law that you're not currently using, just one. Figure out how to build it into your business. If you're not irreplaceable, identify one thing you can build that creates irreplaceability. If you don't have network effects, brainstorm ways to make your product more valuable as more people use it. If you don't control distribution, start an owned channel today. Start an email list. Start a community. Start something you control. One power law. 48 hours. Begin implementation. You don't need to complete it in 48 hours. You need to start it. Because the difference between businesses that dominate and businesses that die is this. The ones that dominate understand power laws and act on them. The ones that die either don't know these laws exist or they know them but never implement them. Knowledge without action is worthless. You now know the 7 power laws. The question is, will you build them into your business, or will you keep playing checkers while your competitors play chess? This is business warfare. These are the rules. Not the rules they teach in business school, the real rules. The ones that determine who wins and who loses. The ones that separate billion-dollar companies from failed startups. You now have the blueprint. Comment below which power law you're implementing first. Write it publicly. Make it a commitment. Subscribe if you haven't. We're building a movement of people who understand real business strategy, not feel-good entrepreneurship advice, real Machiavellian tactics that work in the actual market. Video 6 drops in 48 hours. We're going deeper. How to identify and destroy competition before they become threats. How to spot market opportunities others miss. How to build businesses that print money while you sleep. But that's only valuable if you've started implementing these power laws, if you've taken action on what you learned today. This isn't entertainment. This is transformation. From amateur entrepreneur to strategic operator. From someone who works in their business to someone who architects power. Now go build. Dominate daily.